plane. I want to be very clear because precision...
Kosher not. Zach Peterson, One American News.
The mainstream media is working to cover up some shocking news about Anthony Fauci. One America's Pearson Sharp has more.
It's hard for most people to imagine, but every year, thousands of innocent beagle puppies are locked up in cages, experimented on, and murdered for so-called research. And this research isn't done by just anyone. This is all done by our own government. That's right. This all happens with the assistance and even with funding from the National Institutes of Health, the NIH, an agency which has donated hundreds of millions of your tax dollars to this kind of research over the years. And it's all approved under the watchful gaze of one man, a man who the media fawns over and adores and claims can do no wrong, insists even that he walks on water. That man, in charge of the NIH and responsible for everything it does, is none other than the high prophet of pharma, Anthony Fauci. Well, it turns out their prophet
the
is
Weasel
dragged through the mud, and rightfully so. And now lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are outraged about reports of animal testing happening right under his nose. The American people are demanding answers, and we have a right to know. In this day and age, why is America still allowing this kind of barbaric torture to happen? Here to discuss this with me is Bonnie Jill Laughlin, an actress and outspoken activist who's made it her life's mission to stand up and speak out for the victims of this cruelty, the animals who can't speak for themselves. Bonnie Jill, thanks for coming on the show to talk about this.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such an important issue, so I'm glad that you guys are bringing this to the forefront.
No, it really is, and it's being totally covered up by the media.
Absolutely.
So, what's happening with this research? For the viewers who are unaware, why is this suddenly making the news?
Well, this has been going on for decades. NIH has been doing this with abusive animals, like I said, for decades, more or less since 2018 with dogs primarily. And now it's come to the forefront because I think people have a connection with dogs. You know, maybe they didn't have the connection with the primates or other animals that they've used, but now seeing what they're doing to these dogs, you know, specifically beagles, it's now where everyone across the country wants this to be stopped.
And the beagle you brought today, which Fauci's scientists call experimentally spent, this dog here was tested on specifically by researchers working for the NIH. Is that correct?
Yes, this is Dreidel, and he was actually rescued from a lab that was funded by the NIH here in California. And what they do is they take these beagles, they breed them, and they're taken from their mothers 6 to 8 weeks, and they're put right into a cage where they are tested on. The only type of touch they get is a technician coming in to grab them to research on them and torture them. They debark him as he's debarked, so he can't have his vocal cords because they don't want to hear the screams.
Right, of course, that would be inconvenient for them.
Yeah.
So why are they using beagles of all breeds? Because it seems like most of these stories involve testing on beagles.
Yeah, so beagles, first of all, their size, and then they're very docile and sweet and forgiving is what I want to say, Pearson. The biggest thing is they're forgiving, so you can test on them over and over again, and they'll still be happy to see you the next day. And if you think about that,
that's horrific. I know you're also the president and founder of a group called Hounds and Heroes. What do you guys do? Tell us about that.
Yes, I started my nonprofit in 2011, Hounds and Heroes, and we rescue dogs, and then we train and pair them with combat veterans who are suffering from PTS, TBI, amputees, combining my two passions, which is animal welfare and supporting our men and women in uniform.
Wow, that's tremendous. Now, have you been able to share your story with other networks? Like, for example, have CNN or MSNBC been interested in having you on to discuss this? Like, why come to One American News with your story?
No, they have not. That's a great question. That's what's great is that you guys are able to not be afraid to actually talk about
evil
this
CNN
things that the NIH and Fauci are doing. You're able to let people know and give them the real facts of what is going on instead of trying to,
Fauci.
You know, the other networks are just trying to hide this and try to
cover it up and protect Fauci for some reason.
Right. And how can you, I mean, everyone loves dogs, I would say, you know, pretty much. Why would you want to hide this? I mean, whether you like him or not, you got to know that this is wrong.
You can't pretend it's not happening.
Right.
So what can we do? What can people do who want to help? I know a lot of people are probably shocked to learn about all of this, and if they want to get involved, If they want to stop their tax dollars from funding this research, what can they do?
Well, the biggest thing is, right now you've got, this is a bipartisan, act. All these different bills and all these different things we're trying to push, is bipartisan. You got 24 members of Congress who want answers, and they want to know what's going on both sides of the fence. And so the biggest thing is you've got to contact your legislators. You've got to put pressure on them to make, they make the decisions at the end of the day. We can sit here and, complain but nothing will be done unless we actually have the people on the Hill who actually are going to push this and put pressure on Fauci and to change and to say, you got to pull these dogs out of research, stop doing it, stop experimenting on animals. Technology is advancing. We don't need to do this anymore. So there's so many ways that we
alternatives, just safe alternatives to this.
Over and over again, I'll say it's alternatives. So that's the biggest thing, is to contact your legislator and push, these different bills I'm talking about to make a difference and to stop these horrific situations that you put these animals through.
All right, Bonnie Jo Laughlin, thank you for coming on, and thank you for bringing Dreidel. It's good to see that there was some happy endings, because not all dogs are as lucky as he is.
Yeah, and you definitely want to check out Beagle Freedom.